glasses on because I can't do this otherwise. So the good news is, let's talk a little bit about the good news. The good news is that Vermont as a state we're in much better economic shape, we're in much better shape in terms of our unemployment. We have the lowest unemployment rate east of the Mississippi, and we were able to report that only Vermont, the only state in the nation that reported an income, average family household income rise last year at 4%. That's a great distinction, and it's a testimony to the fact that as an economic base, Vermont survives off of the very 24,000 small employers, as defined as employers who have less than 20 workers. We only have 2,000 employers in the state that employ more than 20 people at a time. So we are able to sort of ride out some of we don't get as high in terms of the good times, but we never luckily go as low, but we really are very fortunate that we have sort of that very diverse and strong economic base with Vermont's small employers. So a little perspective on this from a women. So where are women doing well in Vermont? Well, the job market has been very good to women in terms of the fields of education, healthcare, government, finance, and insurance. So we're seeing those as being very strong sectors, posting continuous strength and gains in those areas. But however, and this is an interesting thing, you may know that we also run from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, your Department of Labor here in Vermont, collects all those neat statistics and data that come out, not just the unemployment rate, but what are the occupational projections and all of that stuff. So we have a whole division that does it. Interestingly, of all of the requirements that we are bound by the federal government to keep, we're really not bound to keep statistics on women workers. Now that's pretty remarkable in this day and age that we're not obligated to track that. We do. We've made that decision to do that. But we do it in a way that isn't necessarily measurable against every other state. So the fact that the unemployment rate and how states monitor that is absolutely mandated to be exactly the same in all 50 states. No one state is obligated to keep statistics on women's employment in any fashion or in even the same way. So what you may hear is basically sort of the best representation of what we can put together for those statistics. So it's very interesting. So for example, in Vermont, while the average wage is about $40,000 a year, and men are making $48,000 a year, so above the average Vermont wage, women are making $32,000. So it's in 8,000 higher, 8,000 lower. Now, when we say, can we compare that to see in terms of, how does that lay up against if people are working full-time or part-time? We can't do that. Apparently it's never been requested to be collected. So I think that it's sort of that measure, and it reminded me of when I was in graduate school and I was for labor back a long, long time ago. And I was researching some stuff on the U.S. Department of Labor's website. And I went to the Women's Bureau, and the first publication they had out there was that they were highlighting was a publication called Why Women Work. And so I thought to myself, because I didn't come from a lot of money, I thought, well, my mom worked so that we could put food on the table and put kids through college. But it was very interesting because as I read this report, this was back in 1978, what it was basically saying is they were trying to make the case that women weren't working just for pin money. They were trying to dispel that myth. And I thought to myself, this is 15 years after President Kennedy passed the Equal Pay Act in 1963. We were still trying to justify to the world that women had to work, but it wasn't just for pin money. And it was pretty remarkable. It stuck with me for a very long time. And I think sometimes today we're still trying to justify that. So I think that the issue is that we have to get to a point where economic independence is a reality for all women. I grew up in a family of 5 kids, and my four girls, and my father always drilled to us as women, you should never be dependent upon anyone for your existence. You have to be able to always support yourself. We have very strong sort of, mentoring in that regard from both parents. So I will share this with you, that when my daughter Colleen was very little and going to school, I had seen a presentation on girls in about 5th grade, how they start dropping off in their math and science skills because they don't want to be seen as eggheads, as supposedly, which was very interesting. It was a wonderful presentation by a woman that I'm sure people here know, Cheryl Dick, and she had done a presentation about this whole phenomenon of young girls in middle school dropping off. So it stuck with me. I'd seen that before Colleen was born. I had heard her give this presentation. So every day as she got out of the car, when I would drive her to school, I would say this to her: Colleen, don't forget today, be kind, be smart, and don't let any boy beat you at anything. I think it did well, but it served her very well. So women still have primary responsibility, in the most part, for the care of the household, for elder care, child care. So we really need to basically, in my role, I think in the role as people here who have done great things with your lives, is to remember that we need to always say, be confident, extend our hands to bring people up with us, because we have the power to do that. If you can hire and as you think about your decision making, bring people, whether they're women or people, new Americans, bring people forward, extend the hand up for them, because it really makes a difference. And I just would like to say that, I think Vermont, we're small enough, we're conscious enough to basically make strides, and we're very proud to be here, I know all of us. So again, on behalf of the department,